All ports are to be equipped with scanners, and internationally, Hamas names next hostages to be released. Welcome to the DBS Evening News. It is the 7th day of February 2025. The details of these and other stories coming up.
Here's a fun fact. In just 29 seconds, you can say goodbye to paper bills forever. Seriously, in 29 seconds. That's less time than this ad. Head over to discoverflow.co or visit us in-store and update your contact information now. By October 1st, your bills will be digital, easy to access, secure, and hassle-free. So what are you waiting for? This ad still has 2 seconds left, and you could have already gone paperless.
DBS News.
Welcome back. Dominica and Peter Codrington will be piloting the inaugural flight of United Airlines into Dominica from New Jersey. The airline will make its inaugural flight into Dominica on February 15, 2025. Meantime, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says this will bring about increased economic activity to the island.
Next weekend, the 15th, we'll have the inaugural flight of United Airlines from New Jersey coming to Dominica. You see on days that there are 2 American Airlines flights on the ground in Dominica. And these airlines are coming to go and bathe in the hot water. They're bringing people to come to Dominica. And these airlines will not come to Dominica because they love Dominica. They come because there is an economic opportunity. And they do their own economic and financial feasibility, and they're satisfied that they can fly in and make money in Dominica. And if United Airlines move from 2 or 3 days a week to having 2 flights on some days, tell you there's a demand, and the demand is growing, which means that the economy is growing, which means that the economic activity taking place and the opportunities for the people of Dominica is left to us in Dominica to be constructive, to be positive, and to take advantage of those opportunities. Position ourselves to take advantage of opportunities. Because I can tell you, there are scores of non-Dominicans coming to Dominica, seeking to buy land and buy property to position themselves for when these projects are completed.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, DBS News, will seek to bring remarks from Pilot Codrington in a subsequent newscast. The West Bridge will be renamed in honor of Phyllis Sand Alfrey, one of the founding members of the Dominica Labour Party in 1955. The announcement was made by political leader of the Dominica Labour Party, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, during the launching of the activities in observance of the Dominica Labour Party's 70th anniversary. The ceremony was held at the Labour House this morning.
This Labour Party's philosophy has never changed, and there's something that we have never compromised, because that's what Labour has always done over 70 years, to put the country first and to put Dominicans first. And so we owe a debt of gratitude to our fallen comrades, from Phyllis Alfrey to Isilo Black to Eole Blanc to Patrick John to Mike Douglas to Rosie Douglas to Pierre Charles. We stand on their shoulders, and we will be celebrating these 70 years in recognition of their contribution and the contribution of so many people. And so we are here to celebrate. And to recognize the contribution of Phyllis and Alfrey, we'll be renaming the West Bridge in honor of Phyllis and Alfrey. So that bridge will be called the Phyllis and Alfrey Bridge in recognition of our contribution, because it's important that we celebrate people. It's important that as a nation we pay homage and gratitude to those who sacrifice for this nation. And we will also, in due time, during this course of this year, inform the nation of how we shall recognize the contribution of Patrick John to our country's development, our country's advancement. And so this year is about celebrating people. And this is what the party has done. This is why I always say to the party that we must, even when things are difficult, that's when we should be dipping deeper into our philosophy and our principle. We must never lose sight. We must never compromise on helping people.
Political leader of the Dominica Labour Party, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, President of the Dominica Labour Party, Ambassador Emmanuel Lantern, highlighted the activities for the year-long celebration.
We started off last weekend with a celebratory mass at the Portsmouth Roman Catholic Church. In March, we'll be having a youth symposium. There will be a women's symposium too for the ladies of Labour. In April, we will have a lecture on the history of this great party. In May, around Mother's Day, we will have a Lady in Red. Also in May, on the 24th of May, we will have a great National Day celebration for labor rights. In June, the men on Father's Day will be doing a big cook-up. We will also have a sports day, and we're targeting the small, beautiful, scenic West Coast village of Jubla for a sports day. In August, we want to go to Granby. We want to have a cultural celebration in the historic Matutus Park. We will also recognize the long-serving members of Labour. Throughout the year, the National Youth Executive of Labour will be bringing out baskets to our senior citizens, supporters of Labour, some of them who have been there from day one. In September, we'll have a health and wellness fair, and also in September, we will be encouraging all Dominicans, and Labour will be planting trees throughout the length and breadth of Dominica. In October, we'll have a charity walk. In November, we will have an good old oldie-goldie night. In December, we will have an awards night where we will bring out and recognize those who have supported our great institution for so many years. Also, during the course of the year, there will be an important activity for the young people of Dominica. Dominica got talent. And I think something is being planned for a Shark Tank to give support to young entrepreneurs on the island.
President of the Dominica Labour Party, Ambassador Emmanuel Nanton. Cultural enthusiast Sobers Esprit says efforts must be made to preserve the traditional aspects of Dominica's carnival while accepting that the product has evolved over the years. Esprit says with the competition being faced with other products, Dominica must look to preserve what makes it stand out amongst other carnivals. Esprit was speaking on the Creole Heartbeat program on DBS Radio.
The carnival is a much bigger carnival. It has evolved over decades. And so a lot of the elements of the past has been disappearing or has disappeared. So what we are seeing is that particularly the young generation, their focus is on what we call pretty mass and the mass that is associated with modern carnivals or contemporary carnivals of the Caribbean, which is really Trinidad and Brazil and so on. So I think to counterbalance that, what we're trying to do is to ensure that we preserve those elements that differentiate Dominica's carnival from the other carnivals, to give us that distinct advantage, appeal as a carnival. I believe, though, that we have to recognize that the carnival has evolved over the decades, and there's a preference by some segments of the population to go into that carnival. There are two things that we have to look at. One is, as I say, on the preservation side, the work that we must do. We have to engage the communities. We have to engage the schools. So in community engagement, school engagement is critical in sustaining those elements of the traditional forms. However, there are elements that are evolving that is different from that. What we have to do, and to be mindful is, as managers of carnival, as people who are involved in curating the carnival, is that even those elements of the modern forms reflect the Dominican experience. So the stories that we tell, images of the past and things like that could be very well incorporated into the modern day carnival.
Cultural enthusiast Sobers Esprit. Acting Chief Cultural Officer Ulson Matthews says the Cultural Division is looking at ways it can build on the Old Mass Festival. This year's Old Mass Festival moves to the community of Bath Estate beginning at 4 a.m. Saturday morning, which is tomorrow morning. Matthews says Dominica's culture will be on full display on Saturday morning or tomorrow morning.
Saturday is Old Mass, and we're doing it Juve style once again, just as we did for the previous 2 years. We noticed that the people love that approach, so we're looking forward to building on it. More groups, more costumes, more drums, more music, more culture. And this year we're taking it to the community of Bath Estate. And a few have asked, why Bath Estate? And my response to that is that culture is inclusive. So we maintain traditions in communities that are strong culturally, but the same way we give a little nudge to those who may need support in getting that cultural background. I must say we have full support. The Improvement Committee, led by Mr. Gage and his team, the PAL rep, and the very welcoming committee. So let's set the scene. Those who need to take a rest can wake at about 3 a.m. and head to Bath Estate. Old Mass starts at 4 a.m., and that's where we display Dominica's traditional carnival culture. Lapo Cabwit, Sensei, Stiltwalkers, Black Devils, Pan Movie, Steel Pan, Darkies, Red Ochre, Big Bottom Ladies, Kalinagos, Chupul, Suswell Sui, Cowboys, Negmawa, and much more. We're also looking forward to seeing the creative costumes that the revelers come up with. Yes, you too are part of it. So be prepared for what is to come in the most highly anticipated, or one of the most highly anticipated events on the Mass Dominic calendar.
Acting Chief Cultural Officer Ulson Matthew. Minister of State in the Ministry of Youth and Community Development, Senator Oscar George, is reporting that over 1,500 young Dominicans have benefited from the Dominica Youth Business Trust DYBT. The Dominica Youth Business Trust, established in 2004, observed its 20th year of operation with an award ceremony this week.
Since the existence, it has provided opportunities for young persons for the provision of financial support to hundreds of small businesses, the provision of mentorship to many entrepreneurs, and also have given much needed exposure to many small and upcoming businesses which allow them to take off. The trust has provided guarantees to young persons who have no security and want to apply for business funding from partnering financial institutions. And importantly, the program also involves a training component prior to acquisition of the loans, which equips the young entrepreneurs with the basics of operations, management, and the preparation of business plans. In summary, the Trust has been developing well-rounded and competent business owners in Dominica. And these investments have greatly facilitated the emergence of a thriving and sustainable private sector here in Dominica. A matter of fact, I was advised that over the last 20 years, it is estimated that over 1,500 young persons have benefited from the DYBT program. And as I speak, a variety of sectors has been touched by this program. ICT, agro-processing, garment making, retail, catering, taxi operations, tourism, and the list can go on and on. So the impact of the DYBT has been tremendous, and I can say with no fear of contradiction that the objective of the Trust are being met in a very progressive manner.
Minister of State in the Ministry of Youth, Community Development, Senator Oscar George. That wraps up the national focus. Coming up, regional and international highlights.
Here's a fun fact. In just 29 seconds, you can say goodbye to paper bills forever. Seriously, in 29 seconds. That's less time than this ad. Head over to discoverflow.co or visit us in-store and update your contact information now. By October 1st, your bills will be digital, easy to access, secure, and hassle-free. So what are you waiting for? This ad still has 2 seconds left, and you could have already gone paperless.
DBS News.
In news from the region, all ports of entry in Jamaica are to be equipped with scanners as the government ramps up measures to protect the country's borders and prevent the flow of illegal weapons into the island. Prime Minister Andrew Holness said that the Jamaica Customs Agency has been given a directive to ensure the full rollout of the cargo imaging technology at all formal ports through public-private partnerships. Holness informed that the government will also be investing in another maritime patrol aircraft as well as more offshore patrol vessels. The Jamaican leader highlighted the need for the country to strengthen its security apparatus to ensure that illegal guns do not make it onto the island. Holness noted that Jamaica cannot depend on another country to secure its borders. Internationally, Hamas has released the names of the next hostages to be freed in Gaza on Saturday in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. They are male civilians Eli Sharibi, Ohad Ben Ami, and Or Levi. 18 hostages have been freed since the ceasefire began on the 19th of January. Israel has released 383 prisoners in return. Hamas says another 183 are to be freed on Saturday. Some 33 hostages and 1,900 prisoners are due to be freed by the end of the first stage of the ceasefire in 3 weeks' time. Israel says 8 of the 33 are dead. We've come to the end of the evening news. The best in sports comes up next. Stay tuned.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins and bidets. PVC piping, fittings and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Welcome to the evening sports right here on DBS Radio. Dominica kicked off their campaign in the Under-17 World Cup qualifiers with a heavy defeat to Belize as action in Group C got underway this afternoon in Mexico. Dominica suffered a very heavy 7-0 defeat to Belize. Dominica's next match will be against Mexico on Sunday at 5 p.m. In cricket, Pearl Etienne has been named captain of the national women's cricket team for the 2025 Windward Islands Women's Cricket Tournament to be held in Dominica starting this weekend. The team also includes West Indies under-19 player Senior Fontaine, Abini Seja and Amia Gilbert. The tournament gets underway on Sunday with Dominica playing St. Vincent at the Benjamin's Park, while Grenada plays St. Lucia at the Geneva playing field in Grand Bay.
The women's tournament, Windward Island, between Grenada, Dominica, St. Vincent and St. Lucia, will kick off this weekend at two venues. We have the Geneva playing field to the south, and then to the north we have the Benjamin's Park. All preparations are going very well, smoothly. I mean, there are hiccups, but we have override the hiccups so far, and they're all is set for the weekend start, bang on time. Well, this year is a replica of the last edition in Grenada. We're going to have 50 over cricket, so all teams will be playing a round robin for 50 overs, and then we move into the T20 Blaze, which will be held at Portsmouth. So the 50 over is going to be held at both Geneva and Portsmouth. However, Friday we move into Portsmouth, where we have the T20 Blaze. The team reads Pearl Etienne, captain, Ernisha Fountain, vice captain, Ronette Sanford, Abini Seja, Kiana Francis, Jeannie Valmore, Jennifer Gasper, Kayla George, Rosilia Regis, Shadia Simon, Aliv Gasper, Amia Gilbert, Jem Elwa, Abigail Celestine, and as I said before, it is coached by Sam Cannon and managed by our fellow board member, Dana Matthew.
And that was second vice president of the Dominica Cricket Association, Jamie John Baptist. Well, international cricket could be making its return to Dominica in 2026. President of the Dominica Cricket Association, Clement Masler, says Windsor Park is being considered for a series involving the West Indies men and women's team in 2026. He says Cricket West Indies has already reached out to the Ministry of Sports, expressing interest in Dominica to be a host.
From February 20th, 2026 to March 3rd, and I try to point out the length of time that team would have to remain in our hotels, the length of time that they would have to be transported to practices, and catering has to be done, laundry services and everything. That is the Sri Lanka women's tour versus West Indies. From the 20th to the 3rd of March, there's going to be ODIs and T20s, I think 3 ODIs and 3 T20s, as well from July 11th, July 11th to the 15th, that's New Zealand versus West Indies, and that is what we have for 2026. Bearing in mind, in 2025, it's just Pakistan and Australia, so it's not much cricket that will be available as for this year. So that's one of the issues buying us from having the games as well.
President of the Dominica Cricket Association, Clement Masler. Let's move to some schools sports. The Convent High School A team scored a 3-1 win over the Convent High School B team as the Sports Division Secondary Schools Under-20 Volleyball Tournament continued this afternoon at the Convent High School grounds. The CHS A team took the match 25-17, 13-25, 25-13 and 25-23. Let's ride over to some cycling. A review of the constitution of the Dominica Cycling Association is currently underway. President of the Dominica Cycling Association, Ronald Charles, says the proposed changes will better help with the governance of the sports. He says the association is open to complete the amendments to the constitution by March 2025.
We've been doing some constitutional amendments. This has rightfully so taken, a toll on the organization because it's a small committee, and that we want to ensure that the constitution is amended in a way to embrace the sport and to give it that kind of direction that it needs. You find that in a lot of organizations sometimes, you go through the constitution and their constitution does not necessarily give the necessary guide or the guidance that they require in order that the establishment can continue. I've always said that what is important is at the end of all of this is that you're able 10, 15, 20 years from now have a set of rules that will be able to keep the cycling association going, and whoever takes over moving forward would have the ease in doing so. Transition would be good. Voting would be great, and other aspects of the sport. So we're looking forward to finalizing this and getting it endorsed by a special meeting very soon. And of course, we'll distribute it to our various members to see whether or not they have any issues with the Constitution and the amendment.
That was President of the Dominica Cycling Association, Ronald Charles. Defending champs in the men's Division 1 of the KFC National Volleyball League, Club 1 will be looking to make it 2 straight wins as the tournament continues this weekend. Club 1 will take on the Breakers from Portsmouth at the St. Joseph Hard Court on Sunday at 8 p.m. The Club 1's women's team will also battle the Breakers' women's team Sunday at 6 p.m. Meantime, on Saturday, defending women's champions, the Aces will play the Zebians at 4 p.m. at Massac, while the Celtics will play R&D in the women's division at 6 p.m. and in the men's division 1 at 8 p.m. Let's go back to some cricket. Former Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, CWI, Johnny Graves, says he would support Dr. Kishore Shallow being returned as president of the organization for a second term when the elections are called later this year. Dr. Shallow was elected president on March 25, 2023, after serving 2 terms as vice president.
Yeah, I think President Shallow is a good man. He understands cricket. He's got the support, as you say, of 4 boards. So I would expect him to be re-elected, and I would wish him and everyone involved all the very best for the future, because it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of time to improve. But as we've just seen in Pakistan, as we've seen in the West Indies Championship through some of those young players, that there's still the talent there, and West Indies are still alive and kicking. So hopefully it's going to be an improvement on the field, which is what everyone wants. And certainly there's stability off the field, in my opinion, helps.
Former Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, CWI, Johnny Graves. Meantime, the Barbados Cricket Association, BCA, and the Guyana Cricket Board, GCB, have confirmed that they will be in attendance at the special board meeting of Cricket West Indies on Sunday. Both presidents have indicated that they will attend the CWI meeting to discuss the proposed resolutions to amend the Articles of Association, despite their disappointment in the way in which the matter had been handled or has been handled by CWI. The GCB and BCA refused to attend CWI meetings on several occasions in the past few years. The last meeting was called on December 6, 2024 to discuss governance reform. Both boards have also denied reports that they are against changes to the constitutions. The 2 boards have described CWI's decision to publicly criticize them for not attending last meetings as, quote, disrespectful and unprofessional, unquote, and said it did not follow the code of ethics. Well, we've come to the end of this evening's edition of the DBS Radio Evening News and Sports. Thank you very much for joining us. The next edition will be tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. right here on your nation station, DBS Radio.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins and bidets. PVC piping, fittings and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
And now, your Community Bulletin Board.
Good evening and welcome to the evening edition of the DBS Radio Community Bulletin Board. We head straight into this evening's edition of the DBS Radio General Announcements. Dowasco informs customers in Canefield East, Canefield, River Estate and Roger that their water supply will be interrupted on Saturday, February 7th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. This interruption is necessary to repair a broken main line in the area. Dowasco regrets any inconvenience that may be caused and thanks customers and the general public for your understanding. P.H. Williams and Company requires for immediate employment factory workers, truck drivers, mechanics, and operators of heavy equipment. Drivers and operators must possess a valid Class C license, and all applicants are required to submit a recent police record. Apply in person to the manager, P.H. Williams, Canefield, or call 235-2252. Applications are invited from suitably qualified persons to fill the position of messenger at the Marigot Cooperative Credit Union. The messenger securely delivers packages, documents, written and verbal messages, and other items to its intended location or recipient in a timely manner. Summary of the position. The primary duties and requirements of the messenger are as follows: collect, pick up, and deliver mail and other materials as required to and from other institutions in Roseau and vicinities, maintain a logbook provided by the Society, deliver documents to and from the Society's office, deliver correspondence and reports to volunteers for meetings, must maintain a properly functioning vehicle at all times on the job, must maintain fully covered insurance coverage and license on the vehicle at all times. Minimum qualifications. Qualifications and experience. Minimum of a high school diploma or equivalent, 2 years work experience as a driver plus safe driving record, valid Class C driver's license, knowledge, skills, and abilities as follows: knowledge of driving rules and regulations and skills in minor vehicle repairs. A safe driving course will be an added advantage. Ability to follow instructions, ability to lift and carry heavy mail bags and boxes, ability to work in a polite, courteous, and cooperative manner. Deadline for applications is Tuesday, 18th February 2025. For further information, contact the office at 445-7155, 445-7166, or 285-6545. We've come to the end of the general announcement. Stand by for some What's On.
The Ministry of Culture, Youth, Sports and Community Development and the Cultural Division presents Old Mas Juve. Yes, Old Mas Juve. So Vini, come, indulge yourself in the sound of Lapo Cabwet. See the big bottom ladies roll and shibule with the sensei. There'll also be stilt walkers, steel pen music, and more. So join us, Vini Messier, on February 8th at 4 a.m. in Bath Estate for Old Mas Juve and get hit by a wave of nostalgia for the Old Mas we once loved.
Fans, get ready for an experience you don't want to miss. Regional first-class cricket returns to Dominica live at the Winter Park Sports Stadium, February 12th to 15th, 10 a.m. daily. It's the match you've all been waiting for. The Windward Island Volcanoes versus the combined campuses and colleges. Come see your favorite players like Alec Afanes, Kapim Hodge, Sony Lamberts, Stephen Pascal, Gillen Tyson, and much more. Admission only $10 daily. School children in uniform and those under the age of 10 enter absolutely free. Bring the entire family, your crew, your friends. Let's all enjoy regional first-class cricket live at the Winter Park Sports Stadium. Windward Island Volcanoes versus the combined campuses and colleges. February 12th to 15th, 10 a.m. daily. See you there.
The show must go on this Friday, February 7th. Calling everyone. Support and taste Dominica's Calypso and culture. This Friday at the Paradise Pier. Digest the commentary and party to some bouncy calypsos from heavy hitters like 10-Time King Dice dropping the brand new So, King Bob, Lady S, Vigilante, Boost, Triumph, Prince of Peace, Mask Eruption, Lulu, the Checo, and more. The Showdown Mask Camp this Friday, 8:30 p.m., $20. Live at the Paradise Pier in Lale Coco, Lubia Highway. Calypso by the seaside. Calypso great. Calypso at its finest. Calypso strong. Calypso forever. See you this Friday at the Showdown Mask Camp. The Calypso Sensation. Sponsored by Flow, HHV Widget, DBS Radio, VF Inc., ComCTV, TNO, Q95 FM, LB Estimating, USA, Hotline in England, Shopping, Paradise Pier. Hey, Checo, what is that?
The United Events Promoters and Showdown Mass Camp present the Showdown Mass Camp at the Rosalie Twin River on the road to Grand Fall. Jaunty's Place near the rivers, yes. Saturday, February 8th, 2025 from 8 p.m. Come and jam to the tunes of the Mask Eruption, Triumph, Lulu, Prince of Peace, Vigilante, Soulfus, Checo. Mass Camp. King Bob, Lady S.
I'm just a child. I'm just a child.
And the 10 times King, King Dice.
I'm selling my passport to the highest.
The popular DJ and more. Don't miss Showdown Mass Camp at the Rosalie Twin Rivers on the road to Grand Fall. Saturday, February 8th, 2025 from 8 p.m. Don't miss the first Showdown Mass Camp in your area. Only $30 gets you in. Be there.
I'm selling my passport to
Showdown Mass Camp. Showdown Mass Camp. This Saturday, Rosalie Twin Rivers. See you there.
If you've not caught the road match fever, then this Saturday, Sour, Dino, Daddy Jess, Tasha P, Sai, and more light up the stage. This Saturday, February 8th, for the Stardom Tent Road Match Up-Tempo Classics. Road match, hit after hit. It's not going to be the usual tent, so get ready to party. And talking about party, the world's #1 party band, the Swinging Stars, puts down the score sheets for a while and carnival like we on the roads. It's going to be like a Swinging Stars dance, and I know all you know about that with road match vibes. Remember, it's not the usual tent, it's a dance, road match, up-tempo, carnival vibes, and tent all in one. 8:30 p.m. My Mother's Place, formerly the Evergreen Hotel. Only $20 gets you in. Without shower.
And we've come to the end of the DBS Radio Community Bulletin Board. Thank you very much for joining us. The next edition is tomorrow morning from 6:10 a.m. We have the morning edition of the DBS Radio Death Announcements, and then we continue at approximately 7:40 a.m. with the morning edition of the DBS Radio General Announcements and the WhatsApp.
Just a little sip when the day going shitty. A little drink to make a ugly girl pretty. Just a little drink to make a hard work easy. You think grow easy. You think grow easy. I don't wanna let you go. We're nice. We're sweet. Respect the neighbor. We're nice. I don't wanna let you go. We're nice. We're sweet. What a community. We're nice. I don't wanna let you go. We're nice. Can you big up yourself? We're sweet. We're nice. I don't wanna let you go. We happy when we high. We'll put your drink up in the sky. Yeah, man. Pass on funny boy. Let's go, Nick man. Go the Wally. My brother, you like charcoal on fire. Well, they said the boy go love songs, but during carnival, our